Benjamin can have love for the truckie. Beautiful minds, but we love getting ugly. Risk takers with a clover, man, we love getting lucky. You run, we chase fire, I love when it ducks me. Tones go off, house watch, read the address out. 1075, get up off the magic couch. 500 gallons prepared for the baddest drought. Who else you want on the way when disaster's out? Can't even get a little bit rattled when you enter with exit apparel. Mayday, member down, they'll drag you. You won't get this from every Tom, Dick, and Harold, but here's a view from the top floor with Mickey Farrell.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of A View from the Top Floor. Momentum. I talk a lot about tempo, cadence, and rhythm on the fire floor, the floors above, and on the fire ground in general. But there's a momentum on how we operate in certain situations, in certain positions, with certain tool assignments. On the floor above, a conversation that needs to be had, or a conversation to bring to the kitchen table or to the forcible entry door props. Whenever we're talking about forcible entry, is to understand, once again, that the door is merely the obstacle to gain position on the fire. It's not the actual task per se. That said, tool selection does vary within the moment. The HydroRam, it's not a new tool. It's been around for decades, and it has carved out a reputation for fast and effective forcible entry or getting through that obstacle, especially for a single-handed fireman. We always talk about staffing, who that striking firefighter may be. It's an issue in certain areas. The HydroRam is a great tool for that understaffed truck company or that department that doesn't even run with the truck company, where you're an engine-based department, but we still have to gain entry. Anyone that's been around long enough knows that there is room for a mechanical failure when using the HydroRam. That said, those mechanical failures are not due to error. It's due for trusting a mechanical device in a chaotic environment. That's why if you're a smart, squared-away firefighter, we're not just carrying tools. We have the skills to back them up. We have that plan A, B, C in the moment of failure. But talking about the HydroRam, there is a core argument. We should never rely solely on that HydroRam. It should be a complement to your skill set. Never, ever replace it. Conventional forcible entry needs to be mastered, even if we're relying on that HydroRam more times than not because of staffing. And that's not necessarily because of a backup plan. It's understanding the moment and the complement of tools within that moment. Now, in my opinion, where this argument really gains some weight is when we're talking about the floors above the fire, particularly in buildings with open interior stairwell. In this configuration of the public stairwell, the floor above the fire becomes a funnel or a chimney, if you will, of heat, smoke, toxic gases, rising very quickly and very rapidly once we force entry on the fire floor. Once that door is forced, it becomes lights out, zero visibility as the smoke banks down until we get that bulkhead. And this is that moment when the HydroRam, or quote-unquote the bunny tool, comes into play. It's where speed versus purpose takes effect. Should this be your first plan of attack on the floor above? Well, my opinion is yes, because if we lose control of the fire apartment door, you are sitting in the crosshairs of that fire apartment coming up through that chimney through the floor above. So I believe that the HydroRam truly is that plan of attack on the floor above the fire. Now, during our training, every forcible entry evolution should be programmed to have a sense of failure within that training skill set. So when that HydroRam does fail you, you have the ability to very quickly adapt to the conventional forcible entry. This also sheds light on the importance of understanding where our tools are. We can't lose the tools on the floor above. Once the fire apartment door is forced below you, again, we're going to have zero visibility. We're attacking with the HydroRam or bunny tool. If that fails, we have to be able to go to our conventional forcible entry, and we have to know where those tools are. Now, there's so many different techniques on the floor above to use our tools with lights out conditions. My favorite is the clapping technique, where the irons chokes up towards the forks, and then the striking firefighter takes where the adze would be coming down, and your striking tool, and you can clap your hands together. You can practice this in any training you do. Just close your eyes and you can clap. You'll never miss your hands. That's an effective way of making contact with that tool in a zero visibility situation. So my plan of attack is on the fire floor, conventional forcible entry. If I'm going above with an open interior stairwell, I would like to have my irons guy use the HydroRam or bunny tool to gain access to the apartment very quickly. So we're not sitting in the crosshairs if we lose the fire apartment. Now, so many want to debate this, and I understand the debate to a point. And I challenge any of you that are saying, you know what, we're always using conventional forcible entry. We've trained on this, and we're ready to go, waiting for that opportunity to perform. There's a textbook reminder of the Watt Street Fire from March 28th in 1994 in New York City. Read that case study, and this is a solid reminder of how fast things can change, how rapidly conditions can change, especially when you're in the crosshairs on the floor above the fire. So regardless if we're using the conventional forcible entry or the HydroRam, Gaining access is always a race against the time on the floor above the fire. Understand the companies and the firefighters that do have success on the floor above the fire, gaining entry and getting past the obstacle of the door, that's not luck. That comes from practice, that comes from training, that comes from training under stress, and then putting it all together in real time. Just understand when you are on the floor above in an open interior stairwell, in a public hallway, there's nothing to be gained by being exposed in that hallway for longer than you should be. Now, the bigger picture of all this, it's not about just one fire or one door. It's about the discipline, your tool selection, and understanding where you fit in at the fire, how conditions can change rapidly, and how we have to be able to adjust and pivot in the moment, depending on the position and the circumstances dealt in that moment under real fireground stress. Again, we can drill and train and practice, but until we're on that floor above and the fire's rocking below you and they force that entry, conditions will drastically change. We can develop a sense of understanding through training, but we can't develop the actual real life stress of that moment. And something else to talk about and think about is that taking that off apartment, this is an art form that we've lost, is that we have to be able to have an area of refuge. So if we're working on that door, we pop that door. Once we gain entry into the apartment door, take the off door or the off apartment, we have a place to go for that area of refuge. Wrapping up the big picture on this thought is that the bunny tool is fast, it's clean, it's effective when used properly, but like every tactic or decision or strategy on this job, it comes down to context in which we use that strategy in. So at the end of the day, we must incorporate training for failure into our training for success, as well as focusing on our mindset, which ultimately controls our skill set under real fireground stress. And when in doubt, remember the Watt Street fire in New York City of 1994. Read that, study that, talk about that, and understand that it's not about proving how good you are as the Irons firefighter, how good you are at forcible entry, or proving how great your company is on the floor above. It's about getting access to that floor above, going in, closing the door, getting an area of refuge, and doing what you have to do to maintain the momentum of the fireground.